DreAllDay.com.
Well, now we about to talk about, this is what we're going to talk about today. And y'all saw the title of this scope, that's why you clicked on it. Dre from Virginia, what's going on? Y'all saw the movie Scarface, right? All y'all seen the movie Scarface. If you didn't see it, it's okay, because there's a scene in the movie that I want to talk about. In that movie, Scarface is a scene where he's in the restaurant, and I think he's drunk, and everybody's just looking at him all crazy. And then he gives a speech as he's walking through the restaurant. And he says, all of you in this restaurant, you're a bunch of fucking assholes. And you know why? It's because you don't have the guts to be who you want to be. And the reason that I'm making this video right now, the point of this video, what I'm about to say right now, is that I don't want any of you to be an asshole. And that line from Scarface is probably the best part of the whole movie, because all the rest of it is kind of theatrical. What's happened of the drug game and this, that is not, the world is not the way the Scarface's world was. The world now is not like that world. But that line right there still applies today the same way it did in the 80s and whenever that movie was made, the 70s, whenever they put that movie out. Because there's a whole lot of people right now, and I talk to people every day from all different walks of life. I hear from people every day from all different walks of life. There's so many people walking around the world today who don't have the guts to be what they want to be. They don't have the guts to say what they want to say. They don't do what they want to do. They got all these ideas. Like everybody watching this video, you and everybody you know pretty much has a really good idea of what they want to do. Now, if you're in school, if you under 18, you might not have an idea just yet. You might be still formulating. But people over 21, people that I talk to, that I interact with, that I meet, that I get emails from and Facebook messages from, and tweets from, and I speak to when I'm doing speaking engagements in the audiences, they all got a pretty good idea of what they want to be, or at least what they thought they wanted to be, or at least what they still want to be, but a lot of them ain't doing it. They like, yo, yeah, Dre, I want to start a website, I want to start blogging, or yeah, I heard you do videos on YouTube, you know, I want to make videos on YouTube, but they're not doing it. I'm like, what's stopping you from doing it? And people have all these BS excuses that they know is bullshit. Somebody's like, yo, I want to start a blog. So I'm like, why you ain't doing it? Or I don't know how to start one. Or I want to start making videos on YouTube. Why you not doing it? Well, I don't have the equipment. I don't have a camera. When everybody knows that that's bullshit. Y'all know that that's not the real reason anybody's not doing anything. The reason people don't really do things is they're afraid. And what people get afraid of is what other people are going to say. That's number one fear that people have, is what somebody else is going to say when they do whatever it is that they actually want to do. And what happens is people never actually get around to doing it. So they never even come to realize, they never even come to actually live through the thing that they were afraid of. Do y'all realize that? I think Mark Twain was the one who made the statement. He said, I've had a great many fears in my life, only a few of which actually happened. All right, most of which never actually happened. So most of the things that you're afraid of, 90% of the stuff that you're afraid of right now, and we all have things we're afraid of, 90% of the things you fear are never actually going to happen. And people don't do the things that they want to do because they're afraid of something that they will never even get to live through. People are self-conscious. James says people are self-conscious. Yeah, that's one thing. People are more concerned about themselves actually than they are about other people. Because let's just say that you go do something and somebody does talk about you. Somebody close to you says that's dumb, or somebody that you know says that's a stupid idea, or some people that don't even know you laugh at you, or somebody ridicules you or says something negative about you, or writes a negative Facebook post about you because they don't like what idea that you went and executed. What does it matter? If somebody does say something negative about you, that doesn't stop you from doing anything. It doesn't stop you from being who you are. It doesn't stop you from running your business or writing your next blog post or making your next YouTube video. And some people might think, so why am I calling the person who's afraid the asshole instead of calling the negative people assholes? Because the asshole is the person who's afraid to be who they want to be because they worried about what somebody else says. See, an asshole is not a person who says something negative to you. Like, an asshole is not a person who leaves a negative comment on your YouTube video. An asshole is not a person in your family who tells you you're never going to make it as a rapper, or you're not going to make it to the NFL or the NBA. An asshole is not a teacher at school who tells you you're never going to graduate from this university. They're not the assholes, because guess what? Anybody can say anything they want to you over the course of your life. However old you are, you're going to live another 20, 30, 60 years in your life. People are going to say stuff to you all the time. It's always going to be somebody saying something to you or about you, or thinking something negative about you, or maybe they even want to try to stop you from doing what it is that you're trying to do. Understand that those people will never go away. The people that you have around you now who are like that, when you get out of their circle, when you get out of their space, you're not in that environment no more, there's going to be a whole new set of people who feel the exact same way. Because there's always going to be people in life who feel threatened when they see somebody else doing the things that they wish they could do. Now, they're assholes because of that, but they're not assholes because they said something negative to you, because there's always going to be somebody saying something negative. So if you think somebody saying something negative to you or not supporting you or being against you in some way, shape, or form is the thing that's going to stop you from doing something, you're going to go your whole life being stopped from doing anything. Then you're going to be on your deathbed wondering what the hell happened to my life and all my hopes and dreams and ambitions and aspirations. And you'll be like, damn, I never actually did none of the shit that I was talking about doing, or none of the stuff that I thought about doing, none of the stuff that I knew I wanted to do when I was young. I just never had the heart to actually do it because, number one, I didn't want to take that leap and do something that might risk failure, and number two, I was worried about what somebody was going to say. So that brings me into the second thing that keeps people from doing what they want to do. On top of what they think somebody's going to say about them is they don't want to take risks. A lot of people are so averse to doing anything that might possibly fail. And this goes into kind of what I talked about yesterday in a post about realists, pessimists, realists, and visionaries. A lot of people just don't want to try anything that possibly could not work. So people set very low goals, so they make sure they always reach them. They always hedge their bets, like, yo, they go do something that could possibly fail, but they say, you know, I'm going to try it out, or I'm going to give it a shot, or I'm going to take a look at it, or let me think about it. I'll tell you a real simple story. There was this dude who I met like 4 months ago. We was going to do some business together. And he was like, you know, the first time we sat down and talked, and we talked about what we was going to do, he was like, you know, let me think about it. He was like, I'm a religious guy. You know, I like to pray on things before I make a decision. Oh, I'm married. You know, I need to talk to my wife. Let me think about it, and I'm going to get back to you. So a few days go by. Eventually, he got back to one of my partners. He was like, you know, I decided that I'm not going to do what we talked about. I decided that I'm going to pass on it. We was like, cool. Didn't talk to the dude. I didn't hear from the dude for like 4 months. Just this past weekend, seeing the same dude again. He's all in my face. He's asking me all these questions. Yo, Dre, what about this? What about that? What about that? We talking about all these possibilities. We sit down and talk about the exact same thing we talked about 4 months ago. He got to take a look at it again. And at the end, I'm like, all right, well, you know what you want to do? You know, you saw it 4 months ago. Now it's 4 months later. Things have changed for me. Things have changed for you. What you want to do? He was like, you know, I don't know. You know, I don't want to feel like I got to make a decision right now on the spot. You know, I still got to think about it again. I'm not sure. I'm like, dude, you have 4 fucking months to think about it. What are you waiting for? Either you want to do something or you don't. Just tell me no, so then I could just erase you and I ain't got to think about you no more. I ain't got to follow up with you or waste my time texting or calling or emailing you no more information. Just say no. But he couldn't say no. He's like, no, I got to think about it. I don't know. This, that, and the third. And this is what a lot of people do in life. It's not really about him individually, but a lot of people, they don't want to put themselves in any position where they could possibly be wrong. And that's how a lot of people end up failing in life. Because if you get everything right that you try, you're probably not trying enough stuff. If you playing basketball, I remember when I was between my freshman and sophomore year of college, I got recruited to a different school. I went from a 2-year college, or 2-year athletically, 4-year academically college, to a 4-year college, NCAA Division III school. And that summer, I was talking to my coach, the coach who had just recruited me. I hadn't played for him yet, but he was like, you know, what you doing this summer? You playing in leagues? You playing in tournaments? What you doing? And I was like, yeah, I just played in this tournament this past weekend. He was like, how'd y'all do? I was like, we lost in the championship game. This dude had dunked on me in the championship game. It wasn't really a dunk on. It was like he got by me and I reached from behind and he dunked it. So it wasn't no poster dunk or nothing like that. But he dunked. I was like, yeah, this guy dunked on me. And the coach was like, listen, if you playing basketball every day and you not getting dunked on or scored on or crossed up or somebody stealing the ball from you or nothing like that, you probably ain't playing against nobody. So you're never going to get any better. So if you got dunked on, you should be happy because you're playing against players who can play, and that's the only way you're going to get better. And when you come to school here, this is what the coach is saying, when you come to school here, you should be playing against guys who can dunk on you, somebody who can score on you, somebody who you have trouble guarding, somebody who you can't cross over. You need to have that type of competition because that's the only way you're going to get better. And it's the same thing in basketball reflects life. If you're not putting yourself in situations where you can lose, in situations where you can fail, in situations where you're not the best person in the room, where you might actually be the worst person in the room, situations where you're just getting destroyed, whether it be business-wise, whether it be sports-wise, whether it be intelligence-wise. If you're not putting yourself in that position, you're never going to get better. The only way you can stretch and get better, human beings, the only way we get better is when we're forced, when we're challenged to get better. So you got to keep putting yourself in those situations. So a lot of people go through lives as assholes, not because they're worried about what somebody else is going to say, is that they stop themselves. They don't want to put themselves in any way, shape, or form in a harm or coming up short. Because why? If they come up short, you know what happens? They think somebody's going to say something about them. They think somebody's going to think something about them. They think somebody's going to think less of them. They think somebody's going to laugh at them. They're going to think less of themselves. So really the number one demon that most people have is their own brains. People's own brains is what makes them assholes. It's kind of what Tony Montana was saying. You don't have the guts to be who you want to be, because it takes guts to put yourself out there on a stage and say, this is who I am, this is what I'm doing, give me your feedback. Because people might say you're terrible. They might boo you off the stage. And this is figuratively speaking. You don't have to be a person who gets on stage. People don't want to put themselves, they don't have the guts to put themselves in a position where somebody says, yo, I don't think that's going to work out. Or I don't think that's a good idea. Or no, I'm not going to support you in doing that. No, I'm not going to help you open your business. No, I'm not going to become your customer even though you're selling something that I'm buying all the time. People are not going to be involved, and you don't have the guts to go do it anyway. A lot of people do this. This is a conversation I have with people all the time. They're like, yeah, I really want to do, I'm thinking about, I'm considering, and I like the opportunity that I got in front of me, whatever this person said. I like the opportunity that I have in front of me, but, you know, I want to see how this person does before I do it. Or I want to see how that person does before I get into it. Or, you know what, let me go ask a couple people I know who've never done it, but I'm going to ask them their opinion on what I'm about to do before I start doing it. Now, some of you may even be guilty of that, because listen, you wouldn't believe how many people I know who I had that conversation with. Who I had that conversation with. They're like, yeah, I want to do this. It sounds good. It all makes sense to me. I see an opportunity for myself, but, you know, let me think about it a little bit more. Let me go talk to somebody who has no experience doing it. Let me see what they got to say. Let me go see what somebody else who's starting it at the same time is doing. Let me see how well they do. And if they do well, then I'm going to think I can do it. There are very few people in this world who will go out and do something until they see somebody do it first. And there are very few people who will do something without polling the audience. The audience of people who never even did the thing that they want to do. Have you ever heard somebody say something like that? Somebody's like, yeah, you know, I want to go play college basketball, so let me go ask my 5 friends, none of whom have played a second of college basketball, what they think about my chances of playing college basketball. What sense does that make? You can't get advice from somebody on how to do something unless they've actually done it. And usually if you talk to somebody who's done the thing you're thinking about doing, the number one thing they're going to tell you is stop thinking about it and just do it. Is that true or not true? Have any of you ever been in that situation? You ever go to somebody and say, you know what, I'm thinking about doing the thing that you've already done, that you were successful with. What do you think about that? First thing that's going to come out their mouth is, what the hell is stopping you? Why are you thinking about it? Why are you talking to me about it? Why are you asking questions? You already got the idea. You already know it's a good idea. That's why it's coming out of your mouth. You're verbalizing it. Why not just go do it? So a lot of the people end up as assholes because they keep thinking about what they know they should do. They know what they should say to somebody. They know the conversation they need to have with this person. It might be a difficult conversation, but they know it needs to be had. But they're too much of an asshole to have a conversation. Then they have something that they want to do, but they're thinking about what somebody else is going to say about it, but they're too much of an asshole to put it out there because they're worried about what other people's opinion is going to be. Listen, there's never going to be anything you do where everybody agrees with your opinion. You can take the most successful business person, the most successful business, the most successful product or service out there in any industry, and there are still people out there who are against it. They're like, no, I don't believe in that. I don't think that works. I don't think that's a good idea. There are people out there who just don't believe in cell phones. They just think cell phones are bad. There's something wrong with cell phones. There are people out there who don't believe in the internet. There are people out there who think Apple is a terrible company. There are people out there who don't like Nike for whatever reason. There are always going to be people against you for some reason, no matter what it is that you do. And then the more successful you are, the more negative opinions they're going to be out there. So understand that you don't want to make yourself into the asshole. You don't want to be what's going on, Paul. You don't want to be the asshole out there who's afraid to do what you want to do, because when your life is over, you know who's going to be there. You know who's going to be there apologizing for the negative thoughts that you thought they would have that stopped you from doing what you wanted to do. You know who's going to be standing at your deathbed saying, you know what, I'm sorry for not supporting your business, and that's the reason why you shut your business down after 6 months, because I didn't want to become your customer. Nobody. None of those people are going to be around saying, you know, I apologize for you being afraid to live your life. It's only going to be you. You're going to be standing looking yourself in the mirror like, damn, I just wasted 80 years of my life or 100 years of my life trying to figure out what to do, thinking about it, polling the audience, being afraid to do something because I thought somebody was going to say something. And now here I am, the asshole. I'm about to be dead, and I didn't do anything that I wanted to do. So all of you watching this video, you make sure you don't become that person. You don't be the person who doesn't want to do. You all got something in your mind that you think you want to do. Maybe you'll change your mind. Maybe you'll do it and realize, like, damn, maybe this is not the right thing to do. Maybe this is not the direction that I should have went. And that's fine. Change your mind. Do something different, but do something. Don't be a thinker. Don't be a professional think about it. All right. Then y'all know anybody like that who anytime they you ask them why they ain't doing the thing they want to do. They like, yo, I want to think about it a little bit more. Let me do my research. Yeah, I know people do a lot of research. I don't do too much research. Me, I'm not a researcher. I'm gonna keep it real. I don't do too much research. When I think about doing something, I just go do it. Now, if it turns out it's the wrong thing to do, or I had the wrong strategy, then I like, all right, I had the wrong strategy. Let me go do something different. Let me fix this strategy. Let me look up somebody who's done it successfully, and let me see the way they did it, and let me figure out maybe I can take a couple things from that person, put it into what I'm doing, and I'll figure it out. But you don't need to do no research if you know something's right. Now, think about this. Back in, let's say in the early 90s, right? When if somebody wanted to make a decision on doing something, they couldn't Google it, right? Because there wasn't no internet. We didn't have smartphones. So how would you decide what to do? How would somebody decide? How did your parents and your grandparents decide what action to take? Now, we know people wasn't going to the library and sitting in the library for a whole afternoon actually doing research. Nowadays, we got Google, so people say they need to Google something to do some research. But what would you do back when there was no Google? What did our parents and grandparents do, our aunts and uncles? What did they do if they needed to decide whether they should do something or not do something back when there was no internet? They couldn't look up somebody's blog. They couldn't put a tweet out there to see what anybody had to say. They just had to figure it out, right? They had to follow their gut instinct. Listen, does this make sense to me? Does it feel right in my gut? What is my instinct telling me to do? They just went and did it, right? And if it happened to be the wrong thing, what would they do? Fix it. That's what your instinct does. When your instinct is telling you to do something, go do it. Do not go against your instinct. You will always be wrong. You will always fail. You will always come up short, and you'll always end up going right back to the thing your instinct told you to do in the first place. And you're like, damn, I just blew my opportunity. I just wasted $600. I just wasted 2 years. I just wasted an opportunity because my instinct told me to do something and I didn't do it. So don't be the asshole who doesn't follow their instinct, who doesn't have the guts to be what they want to be, doesn't have the guts to do what they want to do in life, because in the end, the only person who's going to be looking at you, looking at your asshole self that didn't do what they wanted to do, is going to be you. Nobody's going to be there apologizing for you. Nobody's going to be there holding your hands. When you was born, it was just you. When you die, it's still going to be just you. So don't be the asshole. Work on your game. DreAllDay.com. Thanks for checking out this video. Make sure you follow all my top content up here. Follow me on all your favorite social networks right over here. And make sure you are subscribed to catch all the new content I put on this channel every single day. Work on your game.